Hey everybody, this is Geoff Welch, and I am here with Heather Willis, a dentist who owns Spruce Roots Family Dentistry. And I am excited to talk to you about a project that you are working on called Alaska Mission of Mercy. Why don't you give us the background, the sort of introduction of what is Alaska Mission of Mercy and how does it involve dentistry and what's it all about?
So the Mission of Mercy is nationwide. It was started in Virginia in 2000, and at that point, it was, I believe, through the state and a nonprofit organization decided that there's this access to care, dental care specifically, issue, and one idea was to get this big mobile clinic. I mean, a lot of us dentists go outside of the U.S. to do this free dental care, and the unfortunate fact is that there's so many people within the United States that need the exact help or that same kind of help. And so this is one way to kind of give back and open up access to care. So since 2000, in over 25 states now, the Mission of Mercy has happened within those states. The organization will only go in because they're the equipment rental. So they have these mobile dental chairs that they rent out. They have to be invited in by the State Dental Society. And so last year, Dave Nielsen and Julie Robinson, two retired dentists in Anchorage, decided, hey, they're newly retired and they need something to do. And so they thought this was a great event to bring up to the state. It was in Anchorage last year in April. We had 100 active dental chairs going at the Denina Center, and with it, for the 2 days, we saw roughly 1,500 patients, and we gave away about $1.2 million of free dental care, which is quite amazing. And it was amazing because it was our first event. Sure. So we did, for having to not only truck it from Kansas over to Washington, Seattle, we had to get it on a barge and then get it to the Denina Center. It's going to be remarkable because now to get to Fairbanks, they have to do the same thing, but once they get to Anchorage, they're actually going to put it on the railroad. Oh, wow. And Alaska Railroad's being very generous between them and Tote. They're donating the transportation of this equipment, which is, about $20,000 worth between Seattle and here. Wow. But we are going to have roughly half of the active chairs. We're actually going to do one of their first mini moms. So instead of having to rent the entire 100 chair setup, we're going to rent a smaller setup of 45. For me, when I was thinking about this project and I saw how much work that Julie and Dave had to put into it, first of all, they thought we were crazy, or they thought I was crazy bringing on that project. Because, I am not retired. I have a business, I have kids and a husband. And so it's been taken, quite a bit of work. But we took also the consideration of the event center. We're doing it at the Carlson Center. Okay. And I think just to keep it manageable, we're going to do the 45 chairs. So our goal is to see 1,000 patients, or up to 1,000 patients, for the 2 days, August 7th and 8th, at the Carlson Center. For volunteers, last year they had about 1,400 volunteers. So roughly we're half of that. We're shooting for about 700. Right now we have just over 300. So we certainly need more volunteers. And we need dentists, but we also need community volunteers, people to escort patients around, people to register volunteers as they're coming in, direct volunteers, do what we call exit interviews, because we're taking surveys on our patients on, obviously how the care was today, but then just their access, so that when we do face new legislation or possible legislation, we have the information to present to politicians, to people on why there is a need for X, Y, and Z in the future.
What are the terms of service for something like this? Can anyone walk in? Is there some sort of, do you have to apply? How do the people who come to get served at the Mission of Mercy, how does that work for them?
So it's a first come, first served basis. We are not having anybody qualify for this. So basically, if you want to stand in line and wait, anybody can come in. Yep. And last year we had people, it was in April in Anchorage. It wasn't warm. I mean, it was, I think, in the 20s. And so there were patients lining up the day before, and they were staying the night in line. Yeah. And so taking everything in consideration, August seemed like the best time to host it in Fairbanks. Yeah. And it's, I mean, obviously we would like to serve those who are in need, who don't have a dental home, who either are uninsured or underinsured. We want them to be able to access this event. But again, if you're willing to wait in line, you're going, we're guaranteeing those patients that get in line at least one dental treatment. Sure. Or one dental procedure.
And what's your response been from your fellow dentists that you're asking to come serve?
Overall, very positive. Yeah. I think I had talked to some other dentists earlier, and almost like immediately after the first AK Mom, those that had served, basically they're all my clinical leads. Yeah. So we have different sections, and I basically had my whole team for the clinic side established the next day. Yeah. Because they said, you know what, that was great. I'll be in charge of this section next year. So that's been great. I knew that I was going to have a little bit of a hard time only because of getting dentists to come up to Fairbanks. So, out of Anchorage, out of Wasilla, around the state. Because frankly, it's Alaska in the summer. Yeah. And we have such a short summer that, that's why I didn't overpromise. I knew we could probably fit, 80 chairs in the Carlson Center. I could have easily had a bigger clinic, but I think reality was, I didn't want to overpromise. I didn't want to have all these patients stand in line and say, we're already going to have to turn away patients. I know that, but I didn't want to overpromise, and I guess stress everybody else out on filling all the volunteer positions.
Cool. Well, how do people get more information about this? If people want to decide to volunteer, how do they connect with you and get more information?
So my husband, he did a very good job, teamed up with a website designer, and we have a website, akmom.org, and even on your smartphones, it's pretty simple. You go to that, and there's basically two buttons, donate or volunteer. So you can go there, and we're really responsive. There's a contact email. When you send that email out, if you want more information before you actually register, it is sent to at least 3 or 4 of us, and within a lot of times seconds, one of us is able to immediately follow up. There also is a phone number there. That phone number, just because our goal is to have the event rotate through different sites annually throughout the state, we have just put down a phone number for the Alaska Dental Society. And so through there, one of the staff can answer some questions and then direct you to where they think, it would be answered. Sure. But they are more than welcome to call my personal my office in town. It's 907-479-3326. If they want more information, my staff, my entire staff is going to be volunteering, and Chris is there, my husband, and I told him when this first began, whether you like it or not, he was going to be one of these. I offered him the co-chair position. He eventually took it. So yeah, so he's there, a little bit more flexible to answer questions more immediately.
Good, excellent. Well, anything you'd like to touch on that we didn't get to?
No, so for the volunteers, we definitely need a lot of volunteers, both dentists. So, if you have a local dentist, definitely, search for their name, see if they're on it. And if they're not, ask them why, because we certainly do need a handful more dentists. And then for community volunteers, if you're wanting to volunteer, we have a lot of other things that we need you for. We are going to close down the online registration just so that we have time to get together packets on July 20th. And so up to that point, online registration is open. After that point, we're not going to turn anybody, we're not really going to turn any other volunteers away, but I would just email us and let us know that you're still interested.
Sure. Excellent. Well, that sounds great. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate your service here. I think this is going to be a really wonderful event for our community.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me on.
All right, take care.
All right, bye.